KurtzPel faces cash shop controversies, and a US senator calls for legal consequences for developers who exploit children via microtransactions. All that and more. I'm Ethos, and this is Free to Play Weekly. First off in the news this week, Smilegate's Lost Ark has a development roadmap for the game in Korea, but if you want to have a taste of what it's eventually going to bring to the West someday, you can now give it a look. Now, Google Translate isn't always 100% accurate, but using it can glean us some of the following snippets of information. One is a competitive PvP coming somewhere around March 15th. 2 is autopathing, 3 is a new continent and new equipment, 4 is a, and I quote, dangerous battle that will unfold at the end of a suspicious mist, and 5, 4 updated islands. Even if you can't read Korean, you can get the gist of it from the official website. And moving on, it seems like you guys are going to have to put your Kingdom Hearts Vindictus fantasies on hold. Despite earlier reports and rumors, it looks like Disney will not be buying Nexon after all. Korean newspaper website Kosun is reporting, as interpreted by comicbook.com, that Nexon chairman Jung Joo Kim did indeed approach Disney about the possibility of a deal, but the company quote-unquote wasn't interested. So that leaves the short list of potential buyers, still including Kadokawa Games, Tencent, Amazon, and a consortium put together by Netmarble. Bids are due to be received by May 15th, so we should find out exactly what's up very soon. Recently launched anime MMO KurtzPel already has some issues with its monetization. Now, that's not a critique coming from us, but from the developers themselves, who penned a letter to fans over the weekend titled Addressing Current Issues and a Letter from the Dev Team to apologize for the trouble and controversy caused regarding certain game design decisions that were implemented early on. The primary issue, it would appear, is that some karmas, KurtzPel's version of classes, were placed in the cash shop for $15 each. 2 other karmas were available in-game, but having 2 in the cash shop struck some players as pay-to-win. KurtzPel was originally designed as a buy-to-play game, which could mean that the cash shop karmas were originally intended to be a part of the base game price, perhaps for $30, and were instead split into 2 packages, each with half of the price, to make up the difference in the free-to-play version of the game. According to the developers, however, the realization that this would be perceived, understandably, as pay-to-win didn't dawn on us until it was way too late. We're still stuck in the buy-to-play design mode, and this should have been something we should have seen. As such, the DLC packages for the 2 karmas will be removed from the shop, and they will be attainable in the game as completely free-to-play core content. Another paid feature, including the ability to buy a ticket to redistribute stats, will also become available with in-game currency. The 2 types of supply boxes will be purchasable also via in-game currency, which was always the plan, but the developers thought now was a good time to reiterate that intention. Finally, the European servers also will come online on June 5th, with the Asian servers to follow on July the 3rd. Later this month, PC Warframe players will be getting their hands on a new update that not only includes the new Wisp Warframe, but also includes a new game mode known as the Endless Disruption Horde mode. In this mode, players will collect keys from dead Amalagans and activate artifacts with them. Then they'll need to protect those activated artifacts. The tricky part is that players can activate multiple artifacts at one time. Since each of these artifacts offer the player a buff, this means that players engaged in the mode can end up being pretty powerful. The amount of artifacts activated will also impact the kind of rewards players will be able to obtain. Also, as I previously mentioned, the update will include the new Wisp Warframe. For those curious, the dev teams have uploaded clips in their last dev stream that highlighted some of her features, as well as what the new game mode will be like. These can be also found on the Warframe blog. And finally, for some really spicy news, it looks like it might be on. United States Senator Josh Hawley last week introduced legislation targeting microtransactions in games, particularly those geared towards minors. It's the latest in Hawley's ongoing crusade against tech companies and their addictive practices. He's already introduced a bill restricting the information game developers can collect from children under the age of 13, and has called for the conclusion of an investigation into Facebook's violation of a consent agreement from 2011. When a game is designed for kids, game developers shouldn't be allowed to monetize addiction, said Hawley, said in a statement announcing his bill. And when kids play games designed for adults, they should be walled off from compulsive microtransactions. Game developers who knowingly exploit children should face legal consequences. Now, while Hawley specifically targets Candy Crush Sagas and its $150 Best Value Luscious bundle, it's obvious that his measures could be applied to other companies' games. All of this, of course, is predictable. In late 2016, following the Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco, Hawaii Representative Chris Lee introduced bills to restrict them in his state, and, well, they failed. In November, the FTC was called upon to investigate loot boxes, prompting MMO Bomb to predict that something would happen in regard of loot box legality in the US this year. We can even recall an extra credits video from a few years back where they said if loot box legislation does come from the US, it will be in the guise of quote-unquote protecting the children, and that's what we see now. Now that's what seems to be happening here, but I think it's important to note that these measures could have a wide-reaching effect on adults as well, because the actual details of actual text regarding this bill has been difficult to find on the Congress's website. Even the page purposely listing out all of Harley's sponsored legislation doesn't appear to have it, but it will be something to keep an eye on in the future. And that moves us to the question of the week. The biggest news is obviously about this bill introducing the possibility of restricting microtransactions, at least towards minors, and not necessarily towards adults. Do you think this will actually pull back microtransactions from a lot of games, or do you think it's not really going to do as much as we hope? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And that's it for this week's Free to Play Weekly. Don't forget to check out mmobomb.com for giveaways and the latest news. My name is Ethos, and I'll catch you guys later.